Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back for another video. Today's video, we're going to be doing our first part in our How to Jungle for Beginners in Season 10 series. So this video is going to be on the differences between Machete, Hunter's Machete, and Hunter's Talisman. And we're going to break it down for every single champion. When should you be taking Machete? When you should be taking Talisman? Should you be taking it all the time? Sometimes the recommended shop doesn't necessarily pick the right item all the time. And even if it doesn't, or even if it does, it's really important to know why you should be taking Machete on this champion, for what query you're wanting to do, why you should be taking Talisman on that champion. If you really want to learn the game, then you should really know why things are, instead of just knowing that it's that way because that's how it is. So hopefully this video will help you learn that. Again, this video is designed for beginners. So if you're new to the game, then this is going to help you a lot. Hopefully this video will help you a lot. Also, if you've been playing for a while, but you just really don't understand anything and now you're really trying to learn, this video will probably help you learn a little bit better as well. If you've been playing for a while, maybe you've been playing ranked for a long time and you know a lot of this stuff, this video isn't going to be that helpful. But that's why it's for beginners. So for all you beginners out there, hope you guys learn a lot from this, and let's just get right into it. Okay, now that we're into the video, a couple things I'll need to talk about real quick is you may see a bunch of weird champions on here. It's because a lot of champions are getting added to the jungle in 10.4. Also just put on here a couple of my favorites that from past metas that kind of worked in the jungle, but maybe don't really function that well anymore. I kind of added a couple of those because I just thought it'd be fun to talk about them as well. The other thing that I need to mention is I might be mentioning specific jungle queers in this video. I might say, this is really good on this champion because the Gromp queer is really good. Or I might say, this is good on this champion when you want to do the Krugs clear. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about when I say those, there's 4 major jungle queers in the meta right now in Season 10 at 10.3, 10.4, and probably for the rest of the season. It might change later, who knows? But if I mention those, and you don't understand what those are, just know that I'm doing a part 2 for this video that is going to be about the 4 best jungle paths in the current meta in Season 10 and all about them and breaking it down really, really simple. So if you guys want to learn that, make sure you click on that video. It's going to be in the description and on the end card at the end of this video, and that'll help to add more context to this video if you don't quite understand what that is. If you're watching this right when I upload, it won't be there, but I'll have it uploaded in the next couple days. So just make sure you check that out, and that'll help you out. I'll leave it in the description and at the end of the video. Okay, let's start placing some of our champions. So we're just going to start at the beginning. So Elise is definitely a Machete jungler. So you want to start with Machete on Elise. She is great at utilizing the Gromp queer, which I'll briefly just say is just buff Gromp. It's the quickest queer in the game right now, with the most gold efficient queer in the game. Either that one or the blue side queer are the quickest in the game, and Elise is so good at doing this with her passive on her spiderlings with her W. It's really strong, and this is really what makes Elise very strong in the meta right now, is because she can utilize Machete and utilize the Gromp queer and get on the map really fast. So you're gonna go Machete every single time on Elise, really no exceptions. Even if you're in the Krugs queer meta, still no exceptions. We're going to take that. Okay, Karthus is another one of those no exception champions. We're going to put him on Talisman. He's going to take Talisman every single time. A lot of times you don't even buy Machete for a while. Or sometimes you don't even have to buy Machete for a while. You just end up buying a Dark Seal and some AP on your first back. So we're going to be taking Talisman. I think this one's pretty obvious. He has all AoE spells and is really mana reliant. So that's why he's going to be there. Fiddlesticks is going to be another Talisman champion. None of his damage comes from auto attacks or any auto attack based thing, so he'll be taking Talisman for sure if you are brave enough to play Fiddlesticks in the jungle right now. So yeah, he's going to be taking Talisman every time. He can utilize the Krugs queer decently, and can do all the other smaller camps as well pretty strong, and Talisman's going to help him do that. Okay, and now we have Malfoy. Malfoy can necessarily use either. So Malfoy, if you're playing him in the jungle, he can use Machete and utilize the Gromp queer, but the problem with that, and the reason why he's not going to be placed in either, is he's not really a level 3 jungler. He's a level 6 jungler, and you just want to full clear your jungler most of the time when you play Malphite. You don't really want to gank all that much. You just want to get as much XP as fast as you can get it, and the best way to do that is to do the AoE camps and just farm up, and then do your AoE camps on reset. With a champion like Malphite who has a lot of AoE spells, you want to have him on Talisman because he's going to be a good utilizer of the Krugs clear, or just full clearing into your Krugs. Having Talisman makes you clear it so much faster on a champion like Malfoy, so that's why he's going to be here. All right, Silas is going to be another Talisman champion. Whoa, we have a lot of Talisman champions in a row. We'll probably skip around a little bit. Going to be another Talisman champion. All of his spells are AoE. It's the only way to clear the jungle. On 10.4 right now, I don't think it's going to change for a while, but it's very hard to first clear on Silas. He's actually getting buffed on 10.4, but the buff only changes laning Silas. So only way to get around the jungle is to do the Talisman clear. And you can utilize the small camp clear or the Krugs clear with that. All right, Ekko is going to be another Talisman jungler for sure. He does the Raptor super well. He does Wolf super well. You can even have Talisman and do the blue side clear. I wouldn't recommend doing the Gromp clear on Ekko. You can, but it's just going to be not as time efficient on Ekko, but you can definitely do it if you want to, but you're just going to be much slower if you have a counterpart in that game who is also doing the Gromp clear. You're going to be slower than them because they are machete users. But it's great at utilizing the small camp clear and the Krugs clear on Ekko, or just full blue side clear. You do have to add Gromp into there, but you just smite it, and then you use your Talisman buff on the Wolves and the Raptors. So Talisman every single time. Also a mana dependent champion. I'm just going to skip around because we have a lot of Talisman. All right, Camille is going to be machete every single time. The only reason why Camille is playable in the jungle right now is because the machete camps are really strong. The machete camps are the buffs, obviously, and Gromp. Just taking Gromp off reset and ganking is a very viable way to play the jungle. And so Elise is going to be taking machete every single time and doing the Gromp clear. Any champion with auto attack resets or attack speed steroids are always going to take machete to start out, or almost always take machete because Olaf is like a weird exception. But so that's Camille, and that's the only way Camille can function. If you take Talisman on Camille, I don't know what you're doing. I guess you're taking W and E and doing some weird stuff level 1, which is not what makes Camille powerful. Okay, and then we have Kain, obviously going to be taking Talisman. He's great at utilizing the small camp clear and the Krugs clear. He's one of the best Krugs clear in the game, probably the best Krugs clear in the game. So you just take red buff Krugs and Raptors, and he's one of the quickest at doing it in the game. He has the best Raptor clear in the game, bar none. And he's also pretty decent at doing the small camp clear where you do buff Raptors, Wolves, and blue buff. It's a little bit slower, but he's also very good at doing that. The only way you can do that is with Talisman. You don't want anything else. Another one is going to be Ramus, another very good Raptor clear, pretty decent at utilizing the Krugs clear style. Not very good in the meta right now, I would say, but definitely going to take Talisman. No way you would ever take Machete. Mordekaiser is one of the junglers getting buffed in the jungle. His passive stats are getting buffed so that maybe he can be played in the jungle. Not quite sure if that's actually going to put him in the jungle, but we're going to have him on the list just for that. Definitely going to be taking Talisman. He does have an attack speed steroid on his passive, but all of his spells are AoE, and you can activate your passive on large monster camps. So he's very good at doing the Krug square and doesn't need the blue buff. So imagine you'll probably be seeing him in the jungle. Hecarim, another Talisman jungler. Oh my god, we have so many Talisman junglers. It's insane. Very good at utilizing the Krug's queer. You almost always have to have a Raptors and Hecarim's queer. It's kind of whack if you don't have Raptors and Hecarim's queer. That's why he hasn't been quite as strong in the meta right now as Raptors as a camp just isn't a super valuable camp. But Krugs did just get buffed on 10-3. So even a better utilization of the Talisman. So he's very good at doing the Krugs queer and the small camp queer. And you utilize Talisman when you do that type of queer. All right, Kled, probably someone you're not used to seeing in the jungle. Definitely can work in the jungle. Nobody plays it, but definitely can work in the jungle. And if you do, you're going to be taking Machete. He has an attack speed steroid on his W passive. And all of his abilities actually can damage large monster camps. He does have some AoE spells, but most of his damage is built into his attack speed and his auto attacks. And something about this as well is you don't want to do a lot of AoE camps because they'll get you kind of low a lot of times, especially if you don't have AoE spells on kind of short cooldowns, which he doesn't really. So you want to take Machete and smite the Gromp so you don't get low enough to lose your mount. If you lose your mount in the jungle, it's really terrible and you have to just base. That's why you don't see Kled in the jungle a lot. It's really easy to lose your mount in the jungle if you're not playing it correctly. Okay, next up we got Ornn. You may not see a lot of Ornn in the jungle, but Ornn has actually been pretty meta in the jungle for quite some time. Just nobody really plays him. Definitely going to be a talisman jungler. And guess what on Ornn, baby? You just get to do the AoE camps, and then you build the machete so you can do these single target camps. It's pretty hilarious. So you start out with talisman, but you'll end up just building machete after you do your first 3 camps. Can utilize the Krug's Queer pretty solidly, or the small camp queer. You do get a little bit empty on mana when you if you just do the Krug's Queer and you try to do a full queer. So you can utilize the small camp queer, or just do Krug's Queer and then move over, take your boo buff, or take the Scuttle Crab if you're able to do that. So definitely gonna start talisman though. All right, Garen, another champion that is getting buffed. His E damage is getting buffed in the jungle, and when Garen initially got his attack speed change, I was spamming this champion in the jungle just for fun because I love Garen and I have God King Garen. I got it for free. So I love playing this champion. On 10-4, he's getting buffed to where his E will actually do damage on camps. If you're watching this way later, then you should probably already know this. But you're going to be taking Talisman. Almost all of his damage is AoE. Most of your damage on the jungle camps is going to be on your E. You do have an attack speed or attack reset on your Q, but you're going to want to take Talisman so you can just do the Krug's Queer basically. You don't need blue buff, so doing Krug's Queer is actually going to be really solid on Garen. Aatrox is another Talisman user. You can do Machete, but it's kind of weird. If you want to do Machete, it's pretty weird. But you utilize your E as attack reset, but you're definitely going to be better at utilizing the Talisman. You can do the Krug's Queer. He's not a mana dependent champion, so he's a very good doer of the Krug's Queer. Not super meta at the moment. Okay, Skarner can somewhat do either. But is a better user of Machete because of the 3-camp query that you can do if you want to. It is really, really nice on the with the spires. Doing your camps on the spires with your attack speed buff that you get is really nice for really fast querying the jungle, especially the blue side jungle is really, really nice for fast querying. You do a lot of times want to just full clear Skarner, which Talisman is pretty decent at full clearing. But if you get your blue buff and you just kite your camps around, you can single target the raptors and just burn them down with your Machete. So Machete is really, really, really solid on Skarner. You definitely can go Talisman, so you might put him here. But Machete most of the time is going to just be better. So I'm going to put him up there for Machete. Trundle, another Machete jungler, one of the best users of the Gromp Queer with the Machete because his jungle queer on single target camps is so incredibly fast. Actually sleeper OP on 10-3, 10-4, unless he's getting changed again. But he's only getting buffed because no one's playing him. So this champion is kind of sleeper at doing the Gromp Queer and just getting on the map super, super fast. Okay, Maokai is going to be a Talisman user. I think that's pretty obvious why he's a Talisman user. He has an AoE Q and AoE on his E. Not an amazing jungler right now, but definitely playable. And if you play him, he's decent at utilizing the small camp queer and very good at doing the Krug's Queer because there's jungle brush around all of those camps. So he's actually very good at utilizing that one. Okay, Nidalee is going to be a Talisman jungler for sure. She has a lot of AoE on her jump and her scratch on her W. I believe it's her W. I don't know why I'm blanking on that. But yeah, the AoE attack on her W is really nice with Talisman, and a lot of times you want to full queer on Nidalee, and sometimes you'll be starting on the red camp, and you can get somewhat mana dependent if you want to go Machete. And there's really no reason to go Machete because you have a lot of AoE and you spam a lot of spells, you use a lot of mana. So we're gonna have her right there. Poppy's actually pretty solid in the jungle. Nobody plays it, but it's actually pretty solid. Maybe you play it. Maybe some rando plays it. Maybe you guys play it. Who knows? But it's actually pretty solid in the jungle. But you're gonna want to take Talisman and do the small camp queers. You have no attack steroid or anything like that. But good utilizer of the Krug's Queer. You can just totally do with Talisman. Just totally do the Gromp Queer if you want to get on the map really fast. But it's a good user of the Krug's Queer as well as the small camp queer. I've been saying small camp queer a lot, but what I mean by small camp is the 2 inside camps are the small camps, Raptors, Wolves. And so the small camp queer is buff, Raptors, Wolves, buff, or the other way around, buff, Raptors, Wolves, buff, or buff, Wolves, Raptors, buff. It's a little bit slower than the other ones, but a little bit more gold and you reset more camps. And it's better at kind of like slower paced junglers as it's a little bit more decent to do on those. And Poppy's like a fast-paced jungler, but her queer isn't like amazing early in the game. So, yeah, take that how you want. Okay, Diana is actually getting her passive up. I did have her on either situational. There's not going to be a lot on either situational, by the way. I did have her on that before, but we're going to put her on talisman. Even though she has attack speed steroid on her passive, but her actual passive attack damage, her passive damage is actually going to get buffed on this patch, which is whenever every third auto attack, she gets that ring in front of her that does damage to minions. It's going to do 150% damage now, I believe is what's written on there. So that's where we're going to put her, just exclusively on talisman. All right, Warwick is going to be machete, bar none. You don't even build talisman on him for a while, or some people just don't ever build it at all. You end up building Tiamat so that you're able to do the AoE camps. That's really why I don't really like playing the champion. You have to build Tiamat. It's an expensive item. But yeah, that's why he's here. He does all the single target camps super well, and then you can really only do the AoE camps once you have your Tiamat, because he has no AoE spells at all. All right, Vi is going to go into machete. She's very good at doing the Gromp clear. She has an attack reset, all that good stuff. She does have a lot of AoE spells, so if you really, really, really wanted to do talisman, maybe it's a Krugs meta and you want to start talisman, you necessarily can, but most of the time you're just going to want to take machete, and I don't think Gromp's going to get nerfed anytime soon. So yeah, machete is going to be really nice on her. All right, Gnar is another one of those champions who are getting added to the jungle. His passive is getting changed to where it can do the maximum damage. It used to be 150 max or 100 max, and now it can do 300 max when he pops his 3-hit passive. I don't know if that's actually going to make him played as a jungler, because his kit is kind of weird for the jungle. He really can only gank when he has Mega Gnar, but it'll be kind of weird. If it happens, but if it does, he's going to be a machete jungler. Even though he has some AoE ability, his main damage is in his passive, especially in the jungle. Going to be very decent at killing the doing the Gromp clear, which is the premier clear in the game right now. Okay, Rengar is going to be machete. I think that's pretty obvious. He only has one AoE spell, and then you just use it to heal you essentially in the jungle. So yeah, it's going to be taking machete and all that good stuff. A really good user of the single target camps as well. Quinn is another one of those junglers, not getting buffed or changed, anything like that. Just a personal favorite of mine. I've always loved playing Quinn jungle in the past. It's not that great. It's okay. Quinn jungle is definitely just okay. But if you want to play it, you take machete. That's how you do it. All of your damage is built into auto attacks and single target spells. You do have a Q that's AoE, but Riven, another personal favorite of mine. You can see them back to back right there. Another personal favorite of mine to play in the jungle. She actually can utilize both, but it's kind of hard to do the talisman clear. So we're going to just put her on machete. If you're wanting to do the Krugs clear, you really have to kite, and it takes a lifetime to do. So that's why we're going to have her on machete rather than talisman, even though she has all AoE spells and then her shield. We're still going to put her on machete. Her passive actually adds a lot of auto attack damage, and if you auto attack reset well enough, you can actually kite the Gromp and the blue buff and red buff really, really easily by chaining your spells to CC them right before they attack you, and you can utilize machete pretty well that way. That also is a good way to utilize talisman to cancel their auto attacks. It's a little bit more difficult to do, especially if you're just starting out and you want to try Riven jungle. Try machete and just try to cancel the auto attacks from Gromp and use your smite on Gromp, and it's pretty helpful. Using machete is a lot better than talisman if you're doing that type of clear. Twitch, the cheese lord himself, you're going to take machete because you're going to do red buff and you're going to level 2 gank everybody. And then if it doesn't work out, the only camps you can clear by yourself early on in the game is the blue buff and Gromp if you have smite. So yeah, you're not going to take this, even though you can activate your poison on your E and put it on there. No way you're ever going to take talisman. little rat up here. Okay, cool. We have Volibear. Volibear can utilize both, but definitely a better machete clear. And the only reason why he's really playable, one, he's a tank, but the only reason why he's really playable is he can do the Gromp clear and the small camp clear pretty decently. And the Gromp clear is very, very nice. And he can do the full blue side clear, which is also very, very good clear as well. So he's good at utilizing that. The reason why he can is because he has machete. He gains passive attack speed. He has like one AoE spell, but he gains the passive attack speed, which makes him clear a lot better in the jungle. Okay. Rek'sai is going to be a machete jungler for sure. Rek'sai is pretty interesting because you can do all the clears really. You can do the Krugs clear. You just have to kind of kite the jungle camp a little bit better, and you use your, whenever you want to not kite them, you use your AoE spell on your Q. That does a little bit of AoE damage. But machete is definitely your bread and butter on Rek'sai. Cool. All right, we have Zach. Zach is going to be a talisman jungler, bar none. Nothing about that. He's a good full clear jungle, and he's also good at doing the small camp, which is buff Raptors Wolves buff. And then when you do the second buff, you can do both the buff and Gromp at the same time. Somewhat hard to do in the current meta because playmaking at level 3 is kind of important. But yeah, the only way he's able to do that is by doing talisman. All right, Graves is going to be machete jungler. A lot of people seem to think he can do talisman, but you get so much value off of machete, and especially doing the Gromp clear and invading like level 2, pushing into the enemy jungler, you're definitely going to want machete. It's so nice on Graves. So that's going to be there. Okay, Shaco is our first either. Wow, poggers. I definitely think using talisman is better most of the time, especially if you're going to do the AP build, is really nice. And if you're wanting to full clear on Shaco, which some Shaco players really like to do, then talisman's definitely going to be better because it is impossible to do the AoE camps without having talisman. It is so difficult. But if you end up going the AD route, then you can start machete and you just do the blue side clear, or you do the Gromp clear and you just utilize machete and your passive and your backstab, right? You just utilize that and then you buy a Tiamat. So that you can do the AoE camps. So he really can go either. If you're going AP, it's definitely great to just start talisman. Even if you're going AD, you can start talisman as well. It just kind of alters your build a little bit. If you're going AD and you end up building Tiamat, then obviously you won't need talisman for any of the game if you don't even want to build the jungle item. But yeah, you definitely can do both on Shaco. Okay, Xin Zhao, 100% machete jungler, one of the best Gromp clear junglers in the game. He likes to gank level 2 with red buff. Definitely machete jungler, has auto attack resets, attack steroid, everything you want in a machete jungler. Talia, all of her damage is built into spells, so she's going to be a talisman jungler 100%. Very good utilizer of the Kha'zix clear and the small camp clear. Not very good at doing the Gromp clear unless you just smite it. You can do it pretty quick actually because you just use your full combo on the Gromp and you smite it. But yeah, definitely good at you doing the AoE camps. That's where she's going to be there. Pantheon is definitely talisman jungler. You can go machete and just start your W and get a lot of value off of it, but you do get pretty low in the jungle if you do that. And really the big power of Pantheon is he's the same type of jungler as like a J4 and Zen, even though J4 and Zen are going to use machete. It's the same type that you want to get on the map level 2, level 3. So you want to be healthy whenever you get on the map. And the best way to be healthy is just utilize talisman and do like the small camp clear or the Kha'zix clear. It keeps you a lot healthier in the jungle. And if you're going to end up skipping your blue buff to do the Kha'zix clear early on in the game and get some plays going out there, then you're only going to have the mana return from talisman. Okay, Ivern, going to be talisman jungler. You get no value out of machete. There's no reason to ever run it. You don't auto attack things. You just consume the jungle camps, and you need talisman in order to get the bonus XP, as well as you need mana in order to consume the camps in the first place. So talisman is going to be what you need. You almost never even buy the jungle item. You maybe buy a last item. But yeah, you don't even buy the jungle item. So talisman is going to be the only thing you get value from. Sejuani is another either. Wow, isn't it crazy? And with Sejuani's buffs, she can do machete with the buff to her attack speed. Always been able to do machete, by the way. It's the quickest way for her to get out on the map if that's how you want to play, or there's a particular side of the map you want to end on, and utilizing machete clear is a good way to do it sometimes. And that's doing the Gromp clear because she has that passive attack speed. You can reset the camps, use your smite on Gromp, all that good stuff. Can use the machete clear very easily. If it's a Kha'zix clear meta, you go talisman and you clear the Kha'zix out. She has 2 AoE spells. Her most damage spell is her highest damage spell. It has a pretty short cooldown. You can utilize the talisman pretty effectively, so she can actually go either of those. Okay, Kha'zix is another weird either. He can go either. So if you really have a game plan to get on the map early, you can go the machete clear, which is the premier clear in the game. This is why I'm putting a lot of people in either, is because while Kha'zix is kind of more privy to doing the talisman clear because he has, a couple of those AoE spells and he can heal himself off of the AoE camps, doing the machete clear on Gromp can actually get you out on the map really, really fast if that's what you want to do. Since Gromp got buffed, you can actually go to Machete Queer. But Talisman is most of the time gonna be what you see Kha'zix players take, because you can heal yourself off of the camps, off of the Raptors and all that stuff. You can get a pretty nice health return with your W. Cho'Gath 100% is going to be Talisman, bar none, nothing else. He has all AoE spells, so you're going to want to use Talisman if you're going to do the Krug's Queer or the Small Camp Queer, any of that good stuff. If you want to be brave and play Nasus, you're going to take Machete. So yeah, not going to talk anymore about this champ. Amumu, you're going to take Talisman. Has all of his damage is built into his passive and his little head whip around thing. Not his passive, but his passive. His passive spell, I forget even what button it is. I don't ever play Mumu, but all of his damage is on that, on his little weeping thing in the jungle. So we want to take Talisman, and he has no attack speed steroids. So Nocturne is another one that can do either. So depending on which queer path you want to do, if you want to end up doing the Krug's Queer and do a full queer, so that means you're starting on red buff and doing Krugs and going all the way down the map, then you will actually need Talisman in order to do that, or you'll run out of mana after you do Wolves. So you'll completely run out of mana after you do Wolves if you're using your spells off cooldown. And then whenever you get over to the blue buff, it's going to take you a lifetime to do it if you didn't start Talisman. If you started Machete, you can... But yeah, so if you start Talisman, you can do that queer without running out of mana. You can do the Krug's Queer and do a full queer down the map and avoid the enemy jungler if that's your game plan, just to get 6, which a lot of Nocturne players will end up doing that. Then you'll need Talisman to do that. If you start Machete, you'll run out of mana. But vice versa, if you want to just do a really fast blue side queer and do your red buff and kind of get out on the map, which you can do on Nocturne depending on the matchup and the jungle and your gank assist and all that good stuff, then you definitely want to go Machete. It's going to be way quicker and more healthy. Or if you want to do a full queer and you start on your blue buff and you do blue, Gromp, Wolves, and just go up towards the top side, then you can definitely go Machete. You won't have any mana issues. Nocturne has an attack speed steroid, an attack damage steroid, can queer actually faster with Machete, even on the AoE camps. So it's actually pretty nice. It's just if you want to do a full queer and you want to start in your red buff, then you probably want to take Talisman. That's why he's on either. Okay, Nunu, 100% going to be a Talisman jungler. He has no attack. He has a small attack speed steroid, but it's nothing crazy. He has no attack reset. He has all AoE spells. His Q is not an AoE spell, but it eats an entire minion. He can actually just totally take Talisman and do the Gromp queer if you want to do that because of his Q. You just Q smite it and then go get out on the map. So Nunu is really versatile. He can really do any queer that you want to do. Olaf is another either, pretty situational. You can start Talisman if you want to do full queer, especially if you're going to start on a red buff and you want a full queer. You have to take Talisman. You can't do it any other way. If you start on blue buff and you want to do full queer, you don't necessarily have to take Talisman, but if you're going to take Machete, it's usually because you want to start on your blue buff and you also want to get out on the map really fast. You end up just doing a full blue side queer red buff and then start trying to make plays rather than like queering your Krugs and your Raptors over and over and over again. So you can do either. If you want to start on your blue buff and you want to get out on the map early, take Machete. It's super, super fast. If you want to just full queer and maybe you're starting on your red buff, then Talisman's going to be your best bet, is right there. Okay, Shyvana is another either. Most people take Talisman on her because you do a lot of full queers. If you end up full queering on the champion, Talisman is usually going to be your best bet. But if you actually have like a weird invade strategy or you want to try to get onto the map a little bit earlier, which is really hard to do on the champion. So most of the time, I'm going to tell you most of the time you're going to want to take Talisman. But you can actually do the full blue side queer so fast with her attacks or with her... auto attack reset on her Q. That's going to make you attack it instantly 3 times with your auto attack reset with your Q. Going to instantly attack 3 times. It's actually really fast at doing Gromp and the buffs. So you can actually utilize the Machete queer. But if you're wanting to just full on Turbo Blaster the jungle with your queer, then Talisman a lot of times would be better. But you can definitely do either. Okay, Talon is going to be another one of the junglers added to the jungle pool next patch. Most of the time I'm gonna say Talisman because you can utilize doing the Krug's queer. And his mana cost are semi-low early on in the game because he's bouncer mid lane, obviously, to be able to spam his spells a little bit more often. But he does have an auto attack reset, and if you really just want to get your bleed off on camps, which that is going to be his buff now, is his bleed damage, which is going to do a crazy amount of damage onto large jungle camps, and he can actually clear the Gromp pretty fast. Every time his spell is up, he's going to burn it down. So if you really want to get out on the map really fast, you could do the machete clear and just do your Gromp on reset, and then buy your talisman and start doing your AoE camps on your second clear. So you can actually do either. You just have to change your jungle pathing based off of that information. When you want to do that. Master Yi, he's an auto attack based champion, is going to do that. I'm going to start speeding through these a little bit more. Kaisa, if you're brave enough to play Kaisa in the jungle, definitely playable, especially with the Gromp clear and the full blue side clear that you can do. You're going to want to take Machete, has an attack speed steroid on her kit, and an auto attack based kit, you know what I mean? Kindred, definitely going to be Machete. All of her damage is in her auto attack and her wolf. No real AoE spells, so going to be taking Machete 100%. Darius is now getting added to the jungle. I don't really know how that's going to work, but his Q is going to actually heal him back, I believe is the balance change. So he can definitely go either. He has an attack reset on his W that you can do on the single target camps, but also the AoE is going to be really nice. I'm going to think he's most likely going to be a talisman jungler, but you can probably do either with your auto attack reset. I don't think Darius is going to be very powerful in the jungle. That's a champion that like needs Ghost to be successful, and you're not going to be able to take Ghosts because you have to take Flash. So I don't know how that's going to work. Zed is another one I'm going to go ahead and say can do either. I'm favoring him more for Talisman, and I'm actually just going to go ahead. Let's just go ahead with Talisman. His passive auto attack damage on his execute is going to get buffed, but I think that's what's getting buffed in the jungle, and his energy regen from that. But I think this is actually just going to make him a better Talisman jungler because you can Q like the Raptors and then E it and then get your passive off on the small monster camps. Your passive little execute damage. So I think he's definitely going to be a Talisman jungler. I did think about having him either, but Talisman's going to be where he's at. Evelyn, 100% Talisman jungler. All of her spells are AoE. Really mana dependent champion. Another champion you usually want to full clear on pretty early. So definitely going to be a Talisman jungler. Gragas, another Talisman jungler, has all AoE spells. No attack speed steroid. Pretty self-explanatory right there. Munda is a machete jungler. The only way to get through the jungle is utilizing your auto attack reset and using your footwork early on in the game and getting your double buffs. If you don't do that, it's very tough to jungle Mundo, so Machete is going to be where it's at. If you're utilizing most of your damage from your burn that goes around you, then you're going to lose a lot of health on your first clear, so you definitely want to do the Machete clear because you do get pretty unhealthy. Udyr is another one that is either currently in the meta, he's definitely a much better Machete jungler for sure. Because Tiger Stance is what's meta on him. I mean, Udyr's a very strong champion in general, but if you're going to play Udyr, you usually want to play Tiger Stance right now. And so he's very good at doing the machete clear and doing a full blue side clear or full blue side clear into a red buff or red buff into full blue side clear and fighting over the scuttle. Almost nobody can beat him in scraps, especially with Tiger Stance. But if you do want to be brave and go the Phoenix build, then you're going to be utilizing Phoenix rather than Tiger Stance, and you'll have to go Talisman if you want to do that because you will not be leveling Tiger Stance early on in the game, and you'll need it. You need your AoE, the Talisman for your AoE spells, and as well as you're going to be running out of mana if you're just spamming off that ability without Machete, and you're probably wanting to clear if you're going Phoenix Udyr because Phoenix Udyr isn't very good at scrapping early on in the game. Okay, Jax is going to be Machete jungler. He does not need Talisman to do the AoE camps because of his E damage, and he has an auto attack reset and an attack speed steroid. All the good recipes for Machete. You can do full clear jungler really easy with Machete if you start on your blue buff. It's really easy to do a full clear if that's actually how you want to play, but it is actually a pretty decent jungler at level 3. Okay, let's do Jarvan. Jarvan is definitely Machete jungler, has an attack speed steroid. And you want to get out on the map as quick as possible. The way you do that is do red buff level 2 gank, or just do red buff, Gromp, and blue, and you get out on the map super fast with double buff, and you can play crazy aggressive on that champion. I love J4. Lee Sin, another Machete jungler, absolutely no reason to take. Talisman, some people even still go the Tiamat build. I don't think it's very good because I think it's really good to just clear one side of your jungle right now and just kind of ignore your Krugs if you're not a Krugs, like someone who's really efficient at taking Krugs, at least at 10-3, 10-4, even though Krugs has gotten buffed. it's really good to just clear one side of your jungler on repeat if it makes sense for the game. And Machete is going to help out Lee Sin. He has an attack speed steroid, as well as he does a lot of damage to single target camps, so that's why he's going to be there. If you're brave enough to play Wukong, you're going to be taking Machete on him. But this champion belongs in the dumpster. Maybe by the time you're watching this, he's been reworked, and maybe you do something else on him differently. But he's been trying to get reworked for 2 years, so I'm not getting my hopes up. Wow, guys, that was a long video. That was 35 minutes, but we covered every single champ. If I missed a champ that you love playing like Alistair jungle or Galio jungle or something silly like that, if I, for whatever reason, missed your champ, then I'm sorry. But if you are like spamming a super non-meta jungler, then you probably know what to take on it. I would hope if you're brave enough to play Bard jungle, you know what to take on it, or brave enough to play. I mean, you can play. There's a lot of spell casters that you can actually play. You can actually play Rise, Brand, Rumble. There's actually a couple of these that I'm not putting on here, but I don't want to get too crazy with this video. I already have like Kaisa and stuff on here, which is a little right at the moment. So anyways, guys, that is the end of the video. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the other parts of this video. So it's not necessarily a continuation, but if you watch them in order, it's kind of like if you're a brand new player, it'll be building you from the ground up, letting you know what to build, your first clear, your first gank, build paths later on every champion and stuff like that. That's what we're really working on right now. So the next video I'll be working on is going to be the 4 best jungle queers in the game, and it's going to be the jungle queers I'm talking about now, and it's going to be a video where I'm really explaining how you actually path in the jungle for these first queers and what your options are and why it's strong and what situations you want to be looking for. So stay tuned for that. If you're watching this like a week after I've uploaded this, then that should already be uploaded, and that'll be on the end screen of this video and also in the description. As soon as I have it uploaded, it'll be in those places. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. That's going to be it. This video is going to drag on forever. I keep talking. So bye.